Wednesday, friends, and welcome to the podcast. I am Melissa Matheson, and y'all, I think we need to build an ark here in Northwest Alabama. There's been so much rain. This is insane. I've been hearing that some of the areas around us have been experiencing flooding, so we just pray that those affected by the floods are able to recover quickly and with minimal damage to homes and businesses. Well, it is Wednesday, and rain or shine, the camels are here. We love talking about the camels coming for those of you out meditating in the field, like our friend Isaac in the Bible in Genesis 24, who met his wife riding to meet him on a camel. So on Wednesdays, we talk with some of my married friends and hear their stories of how they met, dated, and married. Today, my friends Kevin and Christa McBride are here. They've been married 22 years and share a few things they've learned about love along the way. So grab your coffee and join us at the table. We're talking about dress blues for a prom date, dealing with grief, and compromise, the good kind. Today on What's Next, God? Now, Kevin, Christa's been here before.
Yeah.
So we've already talked about her coffee journey.
All right.
Tell me about yours. You are a coffee drinker.
I am a coffee drinker. I love coffee.
You do love it.
Yes.
Even if Christa didn't love it, you still love coffee.
I'd still love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always loved coffee?
Always.
How do you drink it? With cream, sugar?
Usually mine is either just
Depends
straight.
the time of the day.
Yeah, it depends the time of the day.
Really?
So in the mornings, I'll do what's called bulletproof. I'm sure you've heard, like kind of
Yes.
keto type thing.
Yep.
So I have really grown. I guess I've acquired the taste for bulletproof. So in the mornings, I'll have coffee I'll put a little bit of cream in it, but then I'll do a spoon of
Really heavy
coconut
cream.
oil. And
Do you do the butter in it too, or
and
just
butter.
the butter? Okay.
So I do the salted butter. I'll do the coconut oil, and then I'll do heavy whipping cream.
Yep.
And then throughout the day, I will usually just have black coffee.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You do. Oh, that's
But then if I make it
such
for
a
him, he
manly
wants.
thing. Yeah. I just can't do it.
Then if I make it, I'll say, "You want it black? You want cream?" It's like, "No, you can put creamer in it."
Yeah,
It's like if
yeah.
I'm making it, he wants the creamer.
Yeah,
I
I'll
don't
let
know
her
what
put
that
some
is.
creamer in
but
there. I don't know what it is.
Because you're so sweet.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe.
I would never have thought to have my coffee different ways. I don't know. I'm just kind of a person of habit where
Yeah.
I always have it the
Same.
same way.
Me too.
Sometimes I'll switch up my creamer flavor, but I'm just kind of, I don't know. No, I don't think I could switch to black sometimes and then not the other. So you drink it because you like the flavor, not because you're liking the caffeine.
Right. Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
I do like the flavor of coffee. I like especially the bold. I like
He
the
likes
bold, kind of bitter, dark.
Okay, dark roast.
So I do like that. But then like this here, I've got with the French press there, so it's got a little bit of cream. I decided to put a little bit of heavy whipping cream in it. So,
There you go. That's what I got in mind. Y'all love coffee shops too,
We
because
do.
you every time I see you guys on Instagram.
I'm such a fan of like the little coffee shop.
yeah.
All right, so tell me some of your favorite coffee shops around in our area. So, because Tuscaloosa, Tupelo, Birmingham,
Yes.
Florence.
Well,
you guys kinda go
yesterday
over the
we went to
place.
Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
And we went to Monarch.
Monarch?
Which is, it was adorable, but they had really great coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Super strong. It woke me right up.
Yeah.
I mean, I needed a little something for the ride
On the way home, I
buddy,
told her,
got it.
I was telling her take deep breaths and drink
I
water.
was like, oh, which it was probably my fourth coffee of the day, so that could have had something to do with
that
it.
could have been it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
That one was
But we
good.
love Lost and Found in Tupelo.
Okay.
That's
Yeah. A
another
lot of
really good
people
one.
Yeah.
are fans of Lost and Found.
Yeah, really just anywhere we go, we just love to find a good little coffee shop.
Yeah.
Any city we're in.
Where's your favorite coffee that you've ever had anywhere? Is there a spot?
Okay. In Virginia,
Okay.
there's this place called it's a company, Old Mansion Coffee.
Okay.
You ever heard of this?
No.
Well, I guess they've been going for years and years, but they supplied all the businesses like the Shoney's, the military base there. Like they had the coffee there everywhere. So now I still compare all coffee to the Old Mansion Coffee.
Old
I don't
Mansion
know what that
Coffee.
is, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I need to order it online.
Maybe you
or
need to
something.
order it. Is it the coffee, or is it like maybe their store, the ambiance of their store?
No. They didn't have a store.
They didn't have a
just
store,
were
just
a
the coffee.
supplier. Yeah, and you just knew they have Old Mansion Coffee.
We're gonna have to look them up.
Yes.
It's like a smooth, bold blend.
It's just
I mean, it's
amazing
like
coffee.
it's like a smoky blend. I don't know.
I don't
just
even
really
know,
like it.
but
Old Man
They
Good
make
Coffee.
spices, all these different like supply restaurants with things, but it is some good coffee.
We will have to look
Not
them
kidding.
up.
Yeah. Other than that, I love the Starbucks blonde. That might be a little typical, but I do love Starbucks blonde coffee.
I do too. Their blonde espresso
Yes.
is kind of my
It's just
thing.
good stuff.
It's kind of smooth.
Not too strong. Not
No.
too, just right.
Yeah, so
I'm kind of a blonde flat white when I do
Yes,
Starbucks.
same.
That's my thing when I go there.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Virginia. Where are you guys? You've been all over the place.
We have.
I've lived all
We
the place.
have.
So before you were married, Christa, where all of you lived?
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Virginia.
Okay.
I was born in Richmond, Virginia, but lived in Hopewell, Prince George, Petersburg areas.
Oh, I hear it's beautiful there.
Yes, it's very beautiful. Yeah, so we lived there up until we moved to Texas in 2012.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And are you from, Kevin?
I'm from
Virginia?
Louisiana originally.
That's right, Louisiana.
So I was
Go Tigers.
yeah, go Tigers.
I can't believe I forgot that.
I know, right?
I know that about you.
So I was born in Louisiana at about 8 years old, I think. We moved to Virginia
Okay.
and lived in Virginia until I joined the Marine Corps, and then moved back to Virginia because I was actually in the Marine Corps Reserves. So moved back to Virginia, and then lived there until we moved to Texas. So yeah,
So Virginia, Texas, and then Alabama?
In
in
Alabama.
Alabama.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't ask where's your favorite place you've ever lived, but I won't put you on the spot. I'm sure you have lots of favorites, but
Yeah.
we're just kind of partial to our sweet home Alabama
Yes.
here right now, aren't we?
Yes.
We kind of like it here. How long have you lived here in Hamilton?
So July of 2016, we moved here.
Yeah.
So
we'll be
3
coming up
and a
on
half
4
years.
years, coming
Almost
up on
4
4
years.
years.
Yeah.
All right, how long have you been married? Because we're going to talk about how you met, dated, and married.
Yes.
There's a story here. There are like lots of stories within a story.
Yeah, it
There
is.
is.
So we're coming up on 22 years.
We are
22, which I
22.
love that number 22.
Yeah.
Is one
married
of
in
my favorite numbers.
1998.
Yep.
22 years, you have 3 kids. Tell me about your kids.
We do. We have Brianna, who is 20.
I don't think I've ever heard her called Brianna.
Brianna, Bree.
Hey, Bree.
Yeah, AKA Bree. And then Alyssa's 17 and Kevin Jr., AKA KJ, is 14.
14.
Yeah.
3 kids, 2 girls, 1 boy. And did you always think you would have 3 kids?
No, we
Oh.
did not. I don't know. I think when I had Bree, I thought, well, this is probably, I don't know if I can handle any more. And then you just keep going.
Yeah.
And I remember having the 2 girls and I was like, oh, I would love to have a little boy.
Yeah.
And then we found out we were pregnant, and then we found out it was a little boy. We're like, okay, we're done.
We're done. We're good.
That's it.
I think that's
Three's
it.
a good number
It
for
is.
us. All right. So tell me about how you met. I know a little bit, Christa, last time you
Yeah.
were here. So if you've listened to the podcast before, for everyone listening, Christa's been here before. I had you come in as a favor to me and talk a little bit about your story with breast cancer.
Yes.
Because I have a family member that's going through that. And I thought that would be super helpful, one for me to hear about your story, but also for other people. And actually, we had a lot of people give us some incredible feedback about how much they appreciated you
That's
talking
awesome.
about that story and how it helped them be able to relate to other families and friends
Glad to
in
hear
that. So Krista's been here before. You'll have to go back and listen to that story, but we're actually going to just talk about you and your husband and your family and anything else you want to talk about. So tell me about meeting your handsome husband.
Okay. Well, I was in high school. I was a senior.
Okay.
And I had a really bad breakup, and I was pretty devastated and had no prom date.
Oh,
So this happened in April, and my best friend in school, her boyfriend had a really good friend that was home from the Marines,
oh,
and he had actually graduated 2 years before, and I kind of knew of him, and definitely thought he was cute, but never really talked to him before or anything like that. And so she said, well, I'll just hook you up. He'll go to the prom with you and it'll be good. He's funny. He's really great.
a man in uniform going to a senior prom.
She said he'll
Oh,
wear
yeah,
his
girl.
dress blues.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be great. And I was like, I'm nervous. She was like, it'll be fine. I'll be there. We'll hang out. It'll be fine. So it was just going to be a prom date. But
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely turned into
So
more than that.
you were home, Kevin,
Yes.
and had you dress blues. And did you know who Christa was?
I knew her from school. We didn't know each other like introduction, but I knew her. You know, I'd seen her in school right before I graduated, so I knew kind of who she was when they told me that.
So you knew she was cute.
Oh my goodness, yes.
It wasn't like a blind date
She
kind of thing.
stood out to me.
Yeah. So saying yes wasn't a hard yes.
It was not hard at all.
No.
Yeah, that's for sure. So we, I guess the dress blues got the girl this time.
Yes, yes, they did.
I hear that helps many a young man.
Yeah.
Do you remember what color dress she wore?
Let's see. It was a dark blue.
Yeah,
it was a
good
dark
job.
blue.
It was.
So she did wear. It was a dark blue, and our prom pictures were an epic failure.
Oh yeah, they really were.
Because the
We
guy
stood
was
there for so long, waiting to say cheese. You know, like we smiled. We kept smiling. And by the time he snapped the picture, there was no more smile. I think I had like half a smile, and he was like.
We'll have to show you the picture. It was just kind of, my mouth was open like, are you going to take the picture?
But yeah.
So the one thing that we were shooting for, it just didn't work out on that one there.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And so prom day went well,
It did.
It did.
I suppose. What happened after that?
After that, we decided to start dating.
Yeah.
And I took her to one of those little fairs at Walmart, in the Walmart parking lot. Tried to win you a teddy bear or something, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And
did not win.
our first,
I don't think.
I think our first official date was probably that in Arby's, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you brought.
I made my friend come because I was a little nervous. This was right before prom, actually.
That was a little bit before.
And I didn't really know him, so I made her come to Arby's. And then when we were done at Arby's, I was like, okay, you can leave now.
good,
Like,
yeah.
I'm fine.
I'm good.
I feel like I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so then on April 10th, April 10th of that year, we actually started dating. And I remember we were riding to my house in my truck, I think, and you said, so does this mean we're dating?
Yeah.
I was like, I guess so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it started
That
then.
was it. Yeah.
I love that you know that date.
I know.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
Good job.
Good job. Yeah, give him a gold star. I have a feeling he's going to rack up the gold stars.
Yeah.
Rack up the gold stars.
He
We've
usually
always
does.
kind of kept that date, It's like we have our anniversary and then we have our date anniversary date, I guess. So we always remember that date.
How long did you guys date before you officially proposed?
So let's see.
See what had happened was.
So here's another story within a
Let's
story.
take another sip
Do
of
you
coffee
wanna
on
go
that one.
there?
No, you go ahead.
Oh,
Did you break up with her?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
We were not serving the Lord at all in this time, and we were a little wild. And so we had been dating. I graduated in '97, and that's when we had started dating. That right then. So we dated about a year,
A little over a year.
and we had told, we had of course told each other we loved each other. We talked about getting married one day, that kind of thing. And then we found out that we were pregnant.
Ah.
And so, we were faced with that. And, I just remember being scared, like, oh, we're going to have to grow up here, and all the choices around that and what that's going to look like and everything. And, I just remember he just said, well, we're getting married. We're just going to get married. And that was it. It was like a simple, okay.
That was in August. I think it was August of 1998. When I actually proposed to her, we had talked, and of course, when that type of situation happens, you're getting advice from everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And you're hearing, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I had always been raised, my dad had always, taught me to take care of my family and take care of, the situations that I create. And I loved Christa very much, and we knew we were going to be together, and we knew that, we were meant for each other. And so
But we
that
were a little
decision
wild
wasn't hard. Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, we're going to have to get this thing
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah,
get
that's
this
a bit
thing
of a
flying
wake-up
right.
call
It was.
all of
It
a
was.
sudden when you go, oh,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I imagine that was a big surprise.
Oh,
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we, that decision, and in August we did that, and then so September and then October, and we decided to get married on the same day.
Yeah, it's my grandparents'
of her
anniversary
grandparents
in October,
anniversary.
so we chose that.
Yeah, October 24th,
October 24th.
1998.
How long have your grandparents been married?
Oh, I don't know. My granddaddy had just passed away. So that was part of why we chose that date. It's just a way to honor them. And it was just really special. They had been married a really long time at that point. But it was just a sweet thing.
That is a sweet thing. I love that because it just speaks to me of generational blessing.
Yeah.
An inheritance to honor your grandparents in that way.
Yeah.
So married in October. When was Bree born?
May.
In May. So living in Richmond, Virginia?
Petersburg.
Well,
Hopewell
We were in Hopewell at that point.
At that point, we were in Hopewell, yeah.
Tell me about the first year of marriage.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man, we're laughing.
Well,
I don't know if that's good or bad.
It was good. It was good.
We first started out in a little apartment, Farmingdale Apartments.
Yeah.
And then we graduated to a little tiny rental house right next door to my mom.
2-bedroom rental house. It had
The floor furnace.
They had a bull furnace in the floor.
Yeah.
Had a bathroom that you had to
One
kind of walk in sideways and slide out sideways, you felt like. And so that was quite the experience for us, just growing and learning how to nurture one another. I remember we always laugh about one of the first meals. Christa made me
a terrible cook.
She made me some Chef Boyardee pizza. And,
the box pizza?
Yes.
They still have them. Okay, but see, you need to read the directions.
You
must follow the directions. Don't think that you just can figure it out because it looks simple.
Yeah.
No, like if it says to let the dough rise, let the dough rise.
Yes.
Do not think, I don't need to do that. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just mash it out on the pan. It's fine. No,
let the dough rise.
Let the dough rise. That's what it was. Spread out, and I made the pizza, and then it comes right back together. It's a little hard, terrible looking.
Yeah.
But he ate it.
Yeah.
And he did not complain. He was like, it's okay. It's fine.
What were you
the sweetest
really?
thing. He just literally ate everything I've ever made.
Oh,
He
that's
really
a good
has.
husband.
Now he's been like, oh, this is all right. It's great. And it's covered in salt and pepper, but he'll eat it. He always has. Yeah.
So that was.
Bless his heart.
I think for us, it was, growing up quickly, because we had went from really just being, dating and living with our parents to thrust into this world of adulthood and trying to not only figure out how to build relationship with one another, continue to build that relationship with one another, but also trying to learn how to parent and do those things as well. And so there was a lot of transition quickly for us at that age. And, we can honestly look back now and see where the Lord was in the midst of all of that, growing us and giving us that experience and giving us the grace to do that.
We didn't get too much time, before Brianna was born. It felt like it just went by so quickly. But
it did.
Right before she was born, we got back into church. We started going to church with his mom and dad at a little tiny church in Petersburg.
Yeah.
And there was a revival going on, I remember, and I just thought, with this baby coming, I've got to get my life together. I don't know what I'm doing, and if I don't have some help, if the Lord does not help me, I cannot do this thing.
So
I don't
did
know
you
how,
have a history at all with the Lord? Like, were you raised in church? Did you know about God, or was this like the first time?
Went to a Baptist church.
Okay.
And so I would go to like Vacation Bible School, things like that. If Meemaw was singing in the cantata.
Oh,
we went.
Yes, the cantatas.
Yes. And
I was raised Baptist.
You know all about that. Easter, you go, you get a new dress, and everybody goes. Christmas, So, I went to special things. I wasn't a regular, in it. He went to Assembly of God.
I did. So I was raised.
Yes,
I was raised in church. My mom was very much. We were very active in church, and as far as attendance and things of that nature. So I did have a background of, obviously, our backgrounds were different. Mine was Assembly of God. Hers was Baptist, and so we had a little bit of a it wasn't an issue, but we were trying to decide, what we should do because we came from such different backgrounds, from a denominational standpoint. But the Lord just, worked all of that out. I felt like He
was so sweet because even the church that we did go to with his mom, it was like a quiet Pentecostal.
Ease you in.
I mean, it was Pentecostal holiness, but it was just not. It was not the ramp. It was just a quieter, like, okay, I can kind of wrap my head around. It was hard to come from just a Baptist background to a Pentecostal, but I feel like the Lord just was gentle with it and helped me understand a lot more.
Yeah, and so that was all in our first year. So we really had a lot of transition. We decided that we didn't. That we wanted Christa to be able to be with Bree and be a mom at home to take care of Bree.
I worked right up until I had her, and then I was going to go back from maternity leave, and then he got a new job. Where did you start working at?
At the time when Bree was born, I actually just started it was Allied Signal Honeywell, at the time, but now it's called Honeywell.
So it was shift work and all that. But
were you still in the reserves at the time?
I had just gotten out of the reserves, just finished the reserves, and so had gotten out of that, which helped us as well. And then, like I said, I started there, and so we just worked our way around, our finances to where she could be at home and be with Bree and help raise her. And so that took some of the pressure off as well for us, I believe.
Yeah. And plus living next door to your mom.
Oh, it was awesome.
And having the baby, I'm sure was
it was
huge.
So great.
And then for you, Kevin, to be able to go to work knowing she's okay because her mom's right next door if anything were to happen. So
it
was good.
Yeah, but quite an adjustment. That's a lot to happen in 1 year.
Yes.
But you survived.
And a lot of our friends were still doing the things. We were not doing those things anymore. So it was hard because it felt like we lost all of our friends very quickly too.
Felt isolated.
Yeah. Because that can be a difficult thing for people when they transition in life because there are seasons that we will be with certain people, and then when seasons change, it's not that there's anything wrong with those people or
You're just
wrong
in
with
a different place.
You're just in a different place sometimes.
That's right.
And being able to be okay with that is hard.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you want to hold on to some things, and sometimes the Lord's going, well, I've kind of got you over here doing this now.
Yeah.
And being able to gracefully transition into new seasons. So how long did you stay in the little rental house next to your mom?
We were there a couple years. Brianna, when we decided to build a house, we got into that place.
That's
Brianna
a big deal.
was 6 and Alyssa 3,
Yeah,
I think. And so we bought land out in Dinwiddie, which was probably 20 minutes away from where we were.
It was more in the county.
And that was the school. They were building a new school. It was just a good place. We just felt like to raise them. And so we had our little house built. It was so sweet. We got to, you get to design it, get to pick all the things and do all the things. And it was so fun. And
so it was fun for you because I hear nowadays that is one of the number one causes for divorce.
Oh my goodness.
Is building a house. It's not so much building a house, but the stress and the financial pressure of building is sometimes puts people over the edge. But it was a good experience.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it didn't. I think we at that point we were still obviously very young and in our process, and we were just excited that we were looking to buy a house, and so the realtor kept taking us around, and then was like, "Hey, well, we think we could probably get you a house built," and so we looked into that and decided, okay, we'll do it. And they already had like the model picked out. And obviously, you have to pick out the design and all that on the inside. And we weren't really that picky. We were in that
we weren't. We were probably
two-bedroom
very
house.
easy to work.
Maybe that's why it was so good for
give us
you.
more room.
We were like, yes, a new house. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was exciting for us.
Yeah. So you guys pastored a church for a season. When did you step into that? When did that all happen?
Well, not long after we were saved. Honestly, Brianna was little, and they asked us to be the youth pastors, and we were like, "Oh Lord, are you sure? Are you sure you want us to do it?" But it was just the Lord, obviously put it all together.
Yeah, and so we started working with the youth at the church that we actually, the church we started going to.
Yeah.
And shortly after we started we were asked to do that, the pastor resigned. And so it kind of put the church into a gray area as far as the leaders and things of that nature. And so
a lot of people left.
And then
down to a little bit.
People, started looking at us, for some guidance and things. And so
they were going to do a new church plan. Yeah.
So we started, I was going to school. I was doing a school of ministry. So I was working full time doing school of ministry, on the weekends and, whenever I had free time doing classes. And, so they decided that they wanted to start a new church. So they basically took our church and,
maybe two
or three other like small house churches, and they actually put them together and they planted a church. It was called Crossroads. Okay. And so when they planted that church, we were on the launch committee, on the plant team, and all of that stuff. And they'd asked us to be the youth pastors, and so we ended up doing that. And it wasn't maybe a year, 2 years in that the pastor that was there decided that he wanted to move back home. And so it left the church without a pastor again, seemingly again. And at that point I had finished, I think, 2 years of school of ministry and, was, pretty prominent in the leadership there, helping and serving. Yeah. And, so the Lord just began to impress upon our hearts that we were called to pastor. He had done that prior, but we really felt that that pull when that happened, our heart for the people, just to be there for the people, to shepherd the people. And so we knew that was, we didn't know that was the church, but we knew that the Lord had wanted us to do that. So we submitted that to our leadership, and through a process, became interim pastors there. Yeah. And we had been we were going to be on a 6-month interim. And I think we were there for maybe 2 months. And they said, the leadership of the denomination said, you guys are the pastors.
We feel like it's y'all.
So they released us. And that was in 2007, I believe it was, 2007. And so we took the step. I left. We felt like it was a good season for us. So I left the job that I was at.
You tried to make it work for a little while, but it was a little much.
It was a little bit too much for me at my age and everything that I had going on. And so we started pastoring the church in 2007. And so it was really neat. It was a church that we got, the church was actually meeting in the church that we got saved in, or gave our hearts back to the Lord in. It was, a church that we had really grew up in. And so it meant a lot to us to be able to do that, and that the Lord would give us the grace to do that. So,
where were you taking classes for ministry school? Were you doing that online?
I was doing it through, our denomination, that we were a part of, which was the, International Pentecostal Holiness Church.
Okay.
Which is basically like a sister to, the Assemblies of God.
Okay.
And so
I think they were doing monthly.
They were doing monthly classes. So all for 3 weeks, you basically had to read books, do workbooks and things of that nature, and then you'd have one class for Friday night, and all day Saturday you'd spend once a month. And so I did that for 2 years and got my license. And then we started pastoring, and I took about a year or two break, I believe. And then I went back to school one more year and ended up getting ordained through them. And we became heavily involved in church planning. So I would go to church planning schools. I just was fascinated with church planning. And so I went to a couple of different church planning schools and things of that nature, which thrust me into the whole evangelism. I was helped with this board that planted churches, the denomination planted churches in the area. And so I was on a board that would, we would meet with, potential pastors to plant churches and things, and we'd help them, with their vision and their goals and things of that nature. And so that was really, I think what pushed us into our next season after that. But we were heavily involved in the denomination there.
Yeah.
And the leadership.
We loved our little church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We loved them.
Yeah.
Still
How
love
many
them.
people?
We had outgrown that building at that point.
We got up close to 200, I think, at one point. We outgrew the building, moved into another building. We had gotten up close to 200. And then because of the transition, and I think just the level of leadership that we offered at that time, we weren't able to sustain that.
We were in Petersburg, closer to the inner city. We bussed in a lot of people, homeless, addicts, a lot of little kids. We'd bus in just a bunch of people and just all types of people, all walks of life. And so it was like when we moved to that newer building, it was like a really pretty, fancy in Prince George, just a different setting. I don't know if that was what, it just didn't work out. So we ended up moving back to our other building. And
so we moved
did
back
pretty well up until we.
Yeah, because of the inner city ministry that we did, it was the older building actually fit. So I think we averaged around 150 probably in that church. Is where we were.
That's a large group to pastor well.
Yeah.
It is.
It is because a pastor is not just somebody that preaches during services.
No, there's a lot more to
which
it.
is how you can be a pastor and not necessarily be ordained.
Yeah.
You know, like people can be pastors. You can have that pastoral spirit.
Yeah.
Well, like what you're doing right now, you're in management for a company right now, but you are, as a pastor, you are leading people.
That's right.
Is what you're doing in
Absolutely.
your place. So you are a pastor.
Yeah.
Because that's what God has ordained you
Absolutely.
to be.
Absolutely.
So no matter where you are, whether
where.
it's in a church building or somewhere else, you are a pastor. Christa, do you feel that you are a pastor? Is that one of
For
your?
sure.
You are a pastor as well.
Yeah.
So God put two pastors together here. So just look at God. Even before, it just makes me think of that verse that when we were not faithful, but He was still faithful.
yeah.
You
So
know,
faithful.
like He is so faithful
Yeah.
even when we're not. That even before you guys acknowledged who God was in your life and in your marriage, that God put you together.
That's right.
And said, I see something down the road. I'm going to go ahead and put these two together because I've got big things
That's right.
in the kingdom of God for them. When did you make the move to Texas?
That was at the end of 2012.
Yeah.
So we, like I said, we were heavily involved in church planning, and we'd gotten into church revitalization. And so I was heavily connected with a gentleman and a ministry, and he was hubbed out of Amarillo, Texas. And we really felt like the Lord had called us to be closer to them. And so we just through a crazy chain of events.
We prayed about it for at least 6 months.
We felt like there was a release on
just
us
felt
from the
something.
local house there for some reason. And so we just, we felt like, okay, Lord, what's next?
But it was just hard because we loved them so much.
Yeah.
Your heart doesn't change, when you
Absolutely.
feel released. You still have such a great.
That's the hardest
Love for
thing
him.
is to be obedient when
Yes.
God says to go somewhere, but yet you so love where you are.
Lord, it would be easier if you made me not like them.
Exactly.
That's right.
It's easy to go when you're like tired of where you are, but when you love where you are,
That's what
and
made it
God
so hard.
says yes. So I can understand that 100%.
That transition is hard. I was actually having this conversation this morning with someone. Transition's hard because it's letting go of one season and grabbing a hold of the next. And it sounds so easy to just let go of the old season and grab a hold of the new
just let it go.
season.
Just let it go.
But in a lot of ways, we hold on to that old season and we hold on to the new season because we're anticipating. But it almost tears us apart, to let go of that old season because there's so many beautiful things in the old season. Obviously, there are things that you're ready to let go of, but then there's so many things that you don't want to let go of. And so it makes it difficult.
But we finally did.
I like to think of being able to, of those seasons, because nothing in our life is wasted. Even the bad stuff.
Right.
Even the stuff that we don't love and that we're ready to move on from. All of those things, we've been talking a lot about building and what it looks like to build. Just because Dave and I have been in a building season with a physical house here, but even our lives and our stories from birth are building things in us.
Yeah.
And rather than like wishing away the parts we don't like or trying to ignore them, if we use them to build on. So even other seasons, in letting them go, they are really things that the Lord is using to be a foundation for the next season.
Absolutely.
So it's not fully gone.
Yeah.
It's what we stand on.
That's right.
When we go to the next place,
Yeah.
it is what God uses when we can see it rightly. Otherwise, it does feel wasted if we don't see those seasons rightly to be able to move ahead. What was transition in moving like for you guys in marriage? Were you both in agreement, obviously, to do that?
We did. We felt like it was a season of transition. And I think for us, it actually grew us closer together. People have asked us, what is it like to move your family across country or move from state to state? And I feel like, we feel like our family is a closer knit unit because of that. It's built stronger bonds because when you move to a place where even though there are people there that accept you and receive you in, there's this level of intimacy that you don't have that you had. And so for us, I feel like, we've moved obviously several times and I feel like every time we grow stronger together in our bonds. And not only Christa and I in our marriage, but also with our kids.
So the transition for the kids was good too? They were able to make that?
It was.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a struggle, I think, from family, leaving family.
Yeah.
And I remember when we first told them, Brianna was eating cereal on the couch. When we said we were going to move from, she's going to kill me. When we moved from, when we told them we're going to move from Virginia to Texas, and Brianna's eating cereal, and she just starts crying, and she's crying into her cereal, and I'll never forget that. But they made a good transition.
Really
I felt like it was great for them.
Yeah. She had to go into a new middle school, which was a little scary.
Because she would have been, what, 12? 11 or 12?
13.
Yeah, something like that,
Oh, rough age.
Yeah, but KJ and Alyssa were in the same elementary school, so they got to go into the same school. So that was helpful to them. And honestly, Alyssa especially, but KJ too, you can drop them anywhere and they'll make a friend in 5 minutes. Like they never met a stranger. It's just such a sweet thing. I mean, and Bree has that as well, but she was kind of on her own there, so it was a little harder. But yeah. I think one of the things as parents too is that we create the culture for our children to live in, and when we can say yes to the Lord, and we can make that move, and we can do it in a healthy way, I think that our children naturally, that's what they're seeing, and that's the environment and the culture in which they're moving, and so then kicks that fear a little
so
bit.
Good.
If you move kicking and screaming, they're probably
going to too.
Kicking and screaming. So I have learned as a parent in any type of transition is as parents, we create the culture for our kids, even in transition. So whether that's moving, whether that's sickness, whether that's grief, whatever that looks like, just the importance of, so then it's no longer about you, it's about kids. How do I want my kids to transition through this? And then you can be that parent that does that. Tell me about church revitalization. When you talk about that, what does that even mean?
So basically, what we would do is,
when we moved to Texas, what we thought, and then what really was.
So church revitalization is basically discovering the life cycle of a church.
Okay.
So a church is, even though it's an organization, it's also an organism. And so it goes through life cycles. Every church does. And so it'll go from infancy into, kind of a teen age, and into adolescence, and on into what they call empty nesting. And it'll go on into retirement, and then it'll go into what's called the death cycle. And so what you do is you discover the level that the church is at. And so the church that we went into, the assessment that we were given was that the church was basically in like this past retirement into this death stage. When you hear that, it's basically the church is down in number. There's no vision, very little leadership.
Not many young people.
Not many. All. Yeah, when your average age is elderly, and so. The idea is to come in, to recast vision, just basically what you're doing is going on a journey of discovery. Why was this church started? What did, what was the heart of it? And, so you're just discovering the heart of a thing. Yeah. Discovering how it impacted his community. So you got to do all these different assessments on this. And, so we were given an assessment, and then we went in for just a day or so, and we were well received. But when we got there, what we found out was there were there wasn't a lot. There was only, there was a couple handful of people there, maybe about 20, 25 people. But they were very much like, we're going to fight for our territory. We're going to fight for what we have left here, and we're not going to let it go. And so we encountered a lot of resistance just simply because, their idea and our idea were two totally different things. It wasn't explained to them. And in their defense, the denomination or the conference in that area had not done a whole lot of revitalization. And so we came in thinking that, hey, we're going to help them bring life to this place, and we're going to, recast and restart. And their mindset was, you're going to come in and just
bad about it, right?
play the same song we're going to play, and we're going to do the same thing, And so
familiar.
Yeah. So it was a tough,
but
tough
we were
road.
there. We moved. We had nothing to lose, so we're going for it.
Yeah. So we had gotten to a point where I was just basically like, hey, I just moved all the way across country, and I've pretty much lost everything, and I don't have anything else to lose, so I'm not going anywhere.
So he breaks out the whiteboard on a Sunday morning.
Oh.
And draws up the life cycle of a church.
Yeah.
And says, this is where y'all are. You're going down, so we're going to change some stuff.
And it
might not have been the best thing looking back, but
hindsight's always 20/20, right? And
at the time we were like, we're going for it.
we're going for it.
Yeah.
And so we
did.
So we started revitalizing, change the name of the church. And obviously there were quite a few people that were there. They actually left, because they didn't agree and, with what was going on. So church revitalization can go very well, but it can also be tough if people don't realize the state that they're in. Mm-hmm. So if that church doesn't realize or doesn't want to embrace the part of the life cycle that they're in, then it can be very hard. Now, obviously, as a shepherd, as a pastor, you want to try to bring them along and bring them into that place of understanding. But at some point, you have to make the moves and begin to make the transitions. And you have to be strong in those areas at times when it's hard. It's like being a parent.
Sure, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Sometimes what is best, even if they're a little bit resistant. Yeah. But as parents, we do these things with our children because we love them.
Because we love them.
Ultimately.
And it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
It hurts to, church revitalization can be tough because it hurts to go home at the end of the day and know that people are either misunderstanding or you feel like you're not doing the best for them that you can. Yeah. As a pastor, it's tough because you feel like, okay, I want to love them. I want to embrace them, and I want to help them become who God has purposed them to be. And then when that doesn't go the way that you think that it will, and you try all these different things and you struggle within yourself to say, okay, is it me or is it them or what is it? So there's that constant struggle going on inside of you.
And we had been doing that maybe a year.
About a year.
And
right
then,
at a year.
He was being pulled on to also take on the flagship church of that area, which was about how many? I mean, it's a good sized church.
It was a good sized church. They were about 200 at the time, maybe.
And so right in the middle of that was when I got diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yes. So that was my next
question.
Isn't that where?
In there.
Yeah. So what part of Texas were you in?
Amarillo.
Yeah.
So Christa's diagnosed with breast cancer. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that. Like, Kevin, what was that like for you?
Devastating. For me, it was hard for me because I am, by nature, someone who wants to fix everything. So, if the car's broke down, I can fix it. If there's something in the house that needs to be worked on, I can fix it. Being told that your wife has cancer, you can't fix it. Mm-hmm. And, your level of faith and trust in the Lord has to, at that point, has to grow. I mean, or you have that's when that moment of measurement comes. And, for me, it was devastating. Honestly, I thought that I was okay. I thought I was doing well. But I was masking a lot of the pain and just the disappointment that I had. And you don't realize that you can have those things. I'm a pastor. I'm, pastor at that point, pastoring 2 churches. We're pastoring 2 churches at that point that are, both of them are turning around. Both of them are growing, and, just the devastation of this. And I'm thinking, I'm okay. God's got this. And I'm glazing over these internal things inside of me that I'm constantly dealing with, feeling inadequate, feeling as though some form or fashion it's my fault. I have taken her out of a safe place, put her into a place where she's being attacked and maybe doesn't have the best support system. Yeah. So just all these things that are internally going on inside of me that I was refusing to kind of deal with at the moment, at the time. Looking back, obviously, I can see that. But so that was, I was having, when Chris and I had a couple years ago went and met a counselor, what he basically told me was, he said, you were having a series of emotional and mental breakdowns and you didn't realize it.
Yeah.
So I was having breakdowns and I was masking those breakdowns with the success that we were seeing in ministry.
And staying busy.
Yes.
So basically duct taping yourself together.
Yes.
So that's basically what was going on with me.
Do you ever think for a minute that she would die?
I did. In the beginning, we wondered how, because we didn't know, we found out what stage it was, but we didn't know, but we had heard that it was aggressive because it had grown quickly. And
it was only, what was it, stage 2, but it was grade 3.
Grade 3.
So it's pretty large for, the stage. So
they told us it was serious, but they felt like with the right treatment that it could be, handled. And her oncologist was tremendous. And she just was like, this thing is immature. It will probably, go away with treatment. But in the back of your mind, you're always wondering, okay, is this actually the case? Because, it's been said before, well, this will happen. You've heard stories about people, well, if we treat it, we can catch it. And then, it's just waiting on that next treatment, waiting on that next appointment. And so it's always weighing on your mind. Is she going to make it through it?
Yeah. So you had a sick wife.
I did.
You have 2 thriving churches. How were your kids?
Oh, they were pretty resilient.
Yeah.
They were fighting through.
Yeah.
It's what you were saying, just trying to show that level of confidence to them that the Lord will handle it. And I believe they were leaning heavily on us and how we were responding.
And we had amazing people in our churches.
Oh, my goodness.
And I shared some of that in the other, but just friends that would come get them, spend time with them, love on them. I mean, it was amazing.
Tremendous people.
Bring us food and make sure they had things they liked. And I mean, it was just so sweet.
Even though we moved away from the intimate support system of family, when we moved there, both of those churches, just families within those churches that were just tremendous, treated us like family, loved on our kids, gave them attention and time. So I believe that, obviously they were scared. But they walked through it. I felt like they walked through it well.
They did.
Yeah. What was that like, finding out that there was no more cancer? Was that a phone call? Was that a doctor visit? Were you together when it happened?
We were together.
We were. It was, they do the surgery. My tumor had shrunk down to like the tip of my pinky. Okay. And they said, we're going to do, the surgery, the lumpectomy. We're going to remove the rest. And we're also going to remove a little more, to make sure and whatever. But then you have to wait, a little while for your test to come back. And I got a letter. She had already called me and said, but then I got that letter. And it was something about having that letter that just said, there's no evidence of cancer in any of your results. That was like, okay. I can move forward.
Yeah.
We can move forward now.
It was like a release. It was a breath of fresh air for us, or at least a breath of air for us. We felt like. But I remember one of the first times after she started her treatments, her chemo, they had went in and done a and it wasn't an x-ray, but I guess kind of like a CAT scan on it. And they had said that it had shrank down. And so by the time it was removed, basically the doctor said that when she went in to remove it, it was the marker was what actually showed her where it was, because without the marker there,
she could have been able to find it.
Yeah. So we felt like the Lord had, just miraculously accelerated the healing process for her through that. So that was tremendous for us.
Yeah. I wonder if that would have been a wake-up call at any. You didn't seem to slow down, though.
I didn't.
You kept going.
Yeah, I kept going.
Yeah, because sometimes things like this are ways that God signals, hey, I'm going to make you lie down in green pasture so I can restore your soul.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like that's what happened for you.
No, it didn't, because I'm very passionate about what I do, and which is a great thing, but it can be, a weakness. And so for me, it was that drive to perform, constantly drive to perform. And, I realize that comes now in this season, a lot of that comes from misidentity and, that striving to be. And so, I felt like that, I think that deep down, I knew if I slowed down long enough, I'd probably fall apart, which is what I needed to do.
Yes.
And so I didn't slow down because I didn't want to fall apart, I think.
Yeah.
And so that really drove me to continue.
Have we been on the Enneagram journey? Is Kevin on that?
We made him take it.
Yeah.
Remind me.
I was a 1.
A 1.
And
A 1.
And you are, Christa?
6.
A 6.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go team 1.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Did you peg me for a 1?
I was pegging you for a 1 because what you were talking about made me think of us when the house, when we lost our house in that storm. You know, we get that, and I'm right back to work, and we had kids ramp, and so we just kept going.
Process.
Because it's either that or fall apart.
That's
and so
right.
you just keep going. So I was like, I'm going to think he might be
You're right.
an Enneagram 1.
Yeah.
So married 22 years, I imagine. Let me back up and say for the month of January, we talked to a lot of single people and we celebrated singleness in them. And some of them are young and some of them are in their 30s. Some have dated, some have not. But you guys got married young. And so, we've been talking to some married couples, been married more years than I have. I've only been married 5 years. So I don't feel like I can give the best marriage advice, but go ahead and lay some marriage advice on us. 22 years. What have you learned in 22 years that we need to hear, that we need to know?
Wow.
I know you got it in.
Yeah.
You're just trying to pick and choose where to go.
You want me to go first?
If you want to, go for it.
Oh.
I can go.
Communication is so huge.
Yeah.
Like communicating. And that we just talked about how you go. But sometimes for him, I have to say, hey, you need to process. Like, what are you thinking about? So I guess one of my pieces of advice would be to really talk to each other.
Okay.
Not get in the habit of just going through motions, and sometimes you have to be so intentional about that because life can be so busy. And I know it's not, I was going to say, especially when you're in ministry, but it's not only that. I mean, it's just in general, when you're working or you have children or you're moving, like you forget to just talk. And then over time that can really bite you.
Yeah. And not just talk about the good, the bad, but talk about the good too.
Yeah.
That's
everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that would be one thing.
And when you say communicating, you're not just talking about using words, but you're talking about how you really
be
feel
real,
about situations.
Be real. And bless his heart, I'm real with him. Sometimes I think I over communicate. I tell him every little bit, and maybe I didn't need to tell you every little bit, but I just want you to know every little bit, And I have to tell him, hey, okay, your turn. Yeah. And he's like, well, I'm good. Have a good day. I'm like, no. I need to know. I need to know more than that, So he's gotten better over the years. But even now, sometimes I'm like, hey, what are you doing? What are you thinking over there? I
think one thing about you guys is that you guys are not just married, but you're also friends.
Yeah.
Like you have this thing, you enjoy being with each other.
Yeah.
It probably helps that your children are a little bit older.
Yeah.
That can be hard when you have small children.
It is.
Because you're all about everything is crisis or emergency or,
yes,
or you're just so exhausted you just can't even think sometimes.
It's true.
But sounds like you guys are, I see that you guys are friends.
Yes.
As well
very
as.
much.
And that's such an
Husband and
important
wife.
thing because you remember why, like I think about why I fell in love with him. He's so funny.
So
I just
even-
thought he was
even-
the funniest person.
Even though you don't wear the dress of blues anymore.
Yeah, he does not. He and he obviously he was very good looking to me and everything, but he was just so funny. And even now, like he can crack me up more than anybody in the world, you know. And we can go anywhere and be doing anything, but as long as he makes me laugh, we're fine. You know, like. So.
I try not to take, even though I probably tend to look serious all the time. I try not to be overly serious.
Yeah.
See, you come across to me as being kind of serious.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about Enneagram 1s. When we are super healthy, we become like an Enneagram 7, which are the fun people.
Yeah.
Fun
That
people.
like,
There you
so
go.
when
Which is
you are
Alyssa.
being fun, this is you being a healthy.
Yes. Well, there you go.
That's good. That's
So that's
good.
where
I like
that
that.
funness is coming in because you actually are healthy and in a place of rest.
That's good.
So,
That's good.
I love that.
So that's where that's coming
That's real
in.
good.
What's your advice?
Give us some
Well,
advice.
I think for me, some of the things that I've learned is number one is I don't have all the answers, nor should I expect that I do. She is my helpmate. She is, I would say she's 50%, but she's probably about 60 or 70%. So for me, I've had to learn that I don't have all the answers and I don't have to, it's not that I don't have to have, but I can lean on her and trust her judgment and trust her insight that she's seeing something, or maybe this situation she has a better handle on than me. As a man, that's, somewhat difficult at times, because we want to make sure that we are being the confident, secure person that we need to be in order to guide the family, and guide the unit. But, knowing that she has the right answers that I make up sometimes that are not the right answers. So I've learned that, I have to trust, her, that she hears and sees when I'm not seeing and hearing, because that we're helpmates.
And
she's
likewise, for sure.
So I think that there. And then the second one that I would say is compromise, which is not a word that we feel is a healthy word, when we're talking about our walk with the Lord, but when we're talking about our relationship with one another, and if we really look at our relationship with the Lord, it is compromise. And so sometimes I have to compromise my wants and even compromise what would be my need at times in order to make sure that her need is sufficiently met, or what she wants is taken into consideration. And so I think that those two are big for me, is learning how to compromise my wants and my needs at times, and knowing that the Lord's going to supply that. If I truly need it, the Lord's going to supply it.
Yeah.
But my responsibility as the man, as the husband, the father, is to, number one, make sure the needs of my kids and my wife are met. And so that's, one of the things that I've learned, that it's not all about me. And I sometimes just need to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that, and then that I don't always have to have the answer, that she does have the answers that I don't have.
Yeah. If you could, Christa, give 19-year-old Christa some words, what would you tell 19-year-old Christa who doesn't see Christa today sitting here at this table, and she has no idea what's about to happen to her or what her life's going to look like for the next 22 years?
Yeah.
What would you tell 19-year-old Christa?
Oh my goodness.
And it's okay if you cry.
Yeah. Take heart is the first thing that comes to mind. Like, take heart, guard your heart, because a lot of things are going to get thrown at it and try to beat at it and kick at it, but you just have to guard it, and you just have to know the one that holds your heart, which is, and I love him, but it's not him.
Yeah.
He does not ultimately hold my heart.
Yeah.
The Lord does.
Yes.
And he will never let anything overcome it.
Yes.
He never will, because of the price he paid for it. So take heart, keep your eyes forward, heavenward, forward, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Don't stop. We all have those moments where we want to stop, look around, doubt, maybe turn back. But just keep putting one foot in front of the other. because there's so much sweetness, you know, to see up there. Just got to keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because your life is probably not what you thought it was going to be.
No.
But it's way more than you thought it would be. Yeah. But the way that you had to get to where you are is not the path you thought you were going to take.
That's right.
And I think sometimes we need to be encouraged, people that are in a place that they don't understand, how does this fit in? And this is not what I thought it was going to be. This does not look like what I thought it was going to look like. But yet, when you go through that and you don't give up, things can be so much better than you ever imagined.
That's right.
Kevin, tell me 3 of your favorite things about Christa.
3 of my favorite things about Christa: her laugh.
She does have a great laugh.
I love the way that she loves me. The intimate little things like that I don't think people pay attention to. She does. I love that. And then the third thing is the way that she builds me up. So definitely.
Yeah.
How does she build you up? Tell us what we need to be doing as wives.
Well, I think, as we have grown together and matured together, she knows when I'm vulnerable, even though I don't show it.
Okay.
And so she builds me up in those areas where maybe I'm questioning myself as a man, as a father, as a husband. And she encourages me and builds me up and gives me that confidence to do and be who I know God's called me to be. Yeah. And so that is big for me. So she's always said she's my biggest fan.
Yeah.
So.
And she is. Yeah. She very much is. I had a thought. Where did it go? Oh, I know. So I believe, this is just me, I don't know if this is biblical or not, but just as we all have individual purposes for our life, like when God put Christa in the earth, he had a purpose and a plan for her. When he put Kevin in the earth, he had a purpose and a plan for Kevin. But I believe that when God joins 2 people together, he has a purpose for them, not only still as individuals, but for their marriage. And like I have brought these 2 people together for this purpose. Do you know what that is? Like, what is the purpose of Kevin and Christa McBride being in the earth? What is that?
Yeah. Winford tells us all the time that we are
hope is our foundation.
Hope is our foundation, and so we believe that our heart and the purpose that God has placed us on the earth is to give people hope. When they feel hopeless, when they're in hopeless situations, to give them hope. Yeah. And we've learned that, us, even in our darkest moments, we haven't lost hope. And so we're always full of hope. And so our heart, and we believe that the Lord's called us to give hope to people that are hopeless.
Yeah. Pastor Micah here at Ramp Church, he says, hope is the simple belief that things can change.
That's it.
And this is what you guys are. You are letting people know, hey, this is this thing that you're in. You might not like it, but it can change. So, and you guys are, your story tells of that. Yeah. So, any other thoughts? Anything else you want to add or mention or talk about? Any exciting news coming up or y'all want to talk about?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No? Just ready for a second cup of coffee?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
All right. I love Kevin and Christa. They are a beautiful family that has learned how to grow closer and connect deeper in times of difficulty rather than allowing the tension to cause division. What a gift. Friend, I'm so glad you joined us today. Just a reminder that if you subscribe to the podcast on whichever app you use, you'll get a notification and be the first to know when the conversation gets started. If you'd rather watch your podcasts and not just listen, we've got a YouTube channel you can subscribe to as well. Just search What's Next God Podcast and click subscribe. We've also got a Facebook page with the same name, or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook under the name Melissa Matheson. That's math, like 4 + 1 = 5. I before E, Son, S-O-N. Friends, I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll be back here on Monday if you want to come join us as we sit around the table, have a cup of coffee, and talk about what's next, God.